Okay, so the technical update that we're doing right now is that we're going to change this with all this wobble in here on the Z to this. We're using a roller, I think it's a skateboard bearing, a 608 double Z or double Z for all you European folks. And it has a 8mm inside diameter. I printed this out of PETG. It should look a little something just like this when it's done. Looks pretty good. We are basically going to be replacing these right here. As you can see, this is where the Z screw sits in, and it has a lot of play. I didn't really like that. So once we get these installed up on top, and they feel a lot heavier too, a lot chunkier. I like it a lot better, it feels sturdier. We then, basically I took a square, something like this, and I'll show you here in the video if we can make enough room with the computer. And I took this and I make sure that the gantry is a square or perpendicular with the frame. And then we'll go from there and we'll print out a benchy and see if this actually improves the prints quite a bit. I was noticing that the taller the print was, the more layer adhesions I was getting. So I'm thinking, well, possibly this could be a fix because there's a considerable amount of wobble. So let's go ahead and swap out the next part. Okay, so using the Allen wrenches that came with the kit. Now another thing I do once I pull this off here is these bearings were pretty crunchy, you know, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, this just lifts right out, and so that doesn't sound too bad, not compared to the Z was so bad. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and pack these bearings, and we'll do that off camera. I know there's a couple videos that actually show you how to do that, but yeah, I'm going to do that, and then we're going to get back into the install. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to end up packing the bearings on camera. So this is going to be a lot easier than disassembling a lot of it. So we're just going to put a little bit in there, not a super amount, don't want to over grease the bearings, and they do feel pretty good. And then what we're going to do is we'll put a finger on the end right there. We're just going to drop the rod in, and this is just going to pack it down, kind of force everything to go into a hole. Okay, I'm going to wipe off the bottom here, and we'll probably end up getting some excess. Okay, and I'm going to end up wiping that off, so that looks good right there. Just a little bit right there. Okay, so now that that's in there, we're going to put this bearing in place. Now, the other one had a little bit tight of a fit when it went around this rod right here, this 8mm guide rod. But I am going to put just a little dab of this white lithium grease, nothing too crazy. Actually, I'm going to put it right on here. I'm talking like small amount. No, because these bearings are grease packed pretty good, come pre-packed, and I'm just going to put that on, and then we're going to slide this down and make sure this lines up pretty good. There we go. Oh yeah, this side went on so much better than the other side. So get it down nice and snug, and what I'm going to do is once we do this mod, we're going to print a benchy. I printed these black things out of PETG. I could have done ABS or ASA, but I didn't have any of that. And part of the reason I chose this is because it's going into an enclosure. And I thought, you know, well, if I'm going to be printing some carbon fiber nylon or anything like that, the interior of the enclosure might heat up a little bit. I don't know how it's going to affect the PLA plus. So I was trying to factor in the thermals of this, and you know, because that might be really bad, go through all that work and then find out it's warping. And yeah, so PETG. This is the one I'm using. I'm actually using some recycled PETG, and seems to print okay. Just had to really get my bed temps dialed in on this to get it to work because it kept peeling up. Okay, I think that's it for there, and we'll load up some stuff and we'll give it a test run here in just a second. So I almost forgot, before we get this set up, I want to make sure that we are perpendicular, and look at that, beautiful, nice right angles. Okay, because some of these Sovol SV06s were coming from the factory where this right here was bent and skewed. There is some stuff available on printables to rectify that issue if that is something that you may have, because you really need to make sure that's square to really take advantage of this stuff right here. Okay, so we are good, nice and square. And I also did that on the other side too, where the power supply is. So we're square on both sides. We're gonna dial it in. We're gonna calibrate the Z on it, and we'll go from there. So also check this, because there's a little bit of squeaking coming in there, and I figured while I'm lubricating it, I might as well take care of this area as well. And got that taken care of. And the one thing I want to do is when I do the belt tension on this, I kind of keep it like when I used to work on cars a lot. If I can turn the belt just like 90 degrees like that, that's pretty good. Maybe a little more. Perfect. And that seems to be a pretty good test on there. You don't want it so tight you can't turn it. About this is, it's fine. That's great. And now we're gonna calibrate it. Seems to be functioning smoothly. I'm not hearing any grinding or anything like that. Very smooth. So that's always a good sign. Okay, so right here I noticed when I use my little alignment stops right here for the Z-axis, this one doesn't fit there and this one goes right underneath. So I find the easiest way to do this is literally it just did the Z alignment up on the top where it hit the stops, is I just turn it off, shut down, go over here. Okay, and I'm just going to lift this one up slightly. Okay, we're going to bring it right down on it. There we go. It's not like super tight, but it's snug. And over here, we're going to see if we can just lower it down. Okay, that looks good. And technically, how I should be doing this is I have a feeler gauge and a feeler gauge attachment here, and I basically just move this over to that side and see where the numbers are and try to get it pretty level. So maybe we'll do that one here next. But right now, I'm just doing it the down and dirty with these. Okay, cool. That feels good. We'll go ahead and Z-align it one more time, let it hit to the stop. It'd be nice if the screws actually, when it hit the Z stop up at the top, if they went for like, I don't know, 5 seconds or something like that, 5-6 seconds instead of like 2 seconds. It just really isn't long enough to get it going. Okay, so we're gonna try this again. Check it out in a second. Okay, we're starting to print the benchy and we're gonna see how it goes. Okay, my friends, the results are in. This is the benchy. It looks so smooth. This is probably the best benchy I've ever printed in my entire life on this machine. And every other benchy that I've ever had, always on the left side of the benchy, it always has this little issue right here and has a little malformation there, and one on the other side right there. And maybe it might be a little bit pronounced, but it's the same thing right here, this line. Right here, here, and right along this. And I don't know if you guys can see that on this camera, but take my word for it. This is huge. This looks great. It's so smooth. And when I was getting ready for work in the morning, my wife, she came to me and she's like, wow, that benchy looks really good. And I'm like, yeah, it does. Like, this is just great. So my conclusion, once you print the parts, it only takes maybe about 20 minutes to install. The bearings, they're very cheap. Buy them in bulk for like maybe $7-8 on eBay. Do I recommend it? Oh yeah. This is great. I mean, we got rid of the wobble. There's no more wobble. It's real nice and stiff now. This is great. So if you guys have any questions or anything like that, leave it down in the comments and I'll answer when I can. Take care and happy printing, everyone.